Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Vallabha Yasodanandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari
Gopijana
Yasodanandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yasodanandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Thank you so much, Ramapati Prabhu. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parvikacharya Astosha Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Charishla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parvikacharya Astosha Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Hari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri La Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prai Subhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll be reading from Canto 8 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 23, Text 16. Mantrastas, Tantrastash, Chidram, Deshakalarha, Vastuta, Sarvam, Karoti, niśchidram, anusaṅkīrtanaṁ, tava, mantrastas tantraschidram, deshakalarha vastutha, sarvam karoti niśchidram, anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava, mantrastas tantrastas chidram, deshakalarha vastutah, sarvam karoti niśchidram, anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava, mantratas tantraschidram, deshakalarha vastutah, sarvam karoti niśchidram, anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava. Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava. Sarvam karoti niśchidram. Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava. Mantratas tantras tashtid. Desha kala aristha. Sarvam karoti niśchidram. Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava. Mantratas tantratas chidram. Desha kalarha vastutaha. Sarvam karoti niśchidram. Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava. Matajis. Mantratas tantratas chidram. Desha kalarha vastutaha. Sarvam karoti niśchidram. Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava. Hannah, you want to try? Okay. Kanai Balai, you want to chant? Would you like to chant? Anyone online would like to chant?
Mantratas tantratas chidram.
Chidram.
Desha kalarha vastutaha.
Desha kalarha vastutaha.
Sarvam karoti niśchidram.
Sarvam karoti niśchidram.
Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava.
Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava.
Mantratas tantratas chidram.
Mantratas tantratas chidram.
Desha kalarha vastuta. Sarvam karati niśchidram.
Sarvam karoti niśchidram.
Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava.
Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava. Thank you. Synonyms. Mantrataha, in pronouncing the Vedic mantras improperly. Tantrataha, in insufficient knowledge for following regulative principles. Chidram, discrepancy. Desha, in the matter of country. Kala, and time. Arha, and recipient. Vasutaha, and paraphernalia. Sarvam, all these. Karoti, makes. Niśchidram, without discrepancy. Anusaṅkīrtanaṁ, constantly chanting the holy name. Tava, of your Lordship. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulative principles, and moreover, there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and paraphernalia. But when your Lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, klau nast eva gatir anyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Brihanardiya Purana, 13.126. In this age of Kali, it is extremely difficult to perform Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or sacrifices perfectly. Hardly anyone can chant the Vedic mantras with perfect pronunciation or accumulate the paraphernalia for Vedic performances. Therefore, the sacrifice recommended in this age is Sankirtan, constantly chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumedyasaha. Bhagavatam 11.529. Instead of wasting time performing Vedic sacrifices, those who are intelligent, those who possess good brain substance, should take to the chanting of the Lord's holy name and thus perform sacrifice perfectly. I have seen that many religious leaders are addicted to performing yagyas and spending hundreds and thousands of rupees for imperfect sacrificial performances. This is a lesson for those who unnecessarily execute such imperfect sacrifices. We should take the advice of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumedasaha. Although Śukrācārya was a strict brāhmaṇa addicted to ritualistic activities, he also admitted, niśchidram anusaṅkīrtanaṁ tava. My Lord, constant chanting of the holy name of your Lordship makes everything perfect. In Kaliyuga, the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies cannot be performed as perfectly as before. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami has recommended that although one should take care to follow all the principles in every kind of spiritual activity, especially in worship of the deity, there is still a chance of discrepancies, and one should compensate for this by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore give special stress to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra in all activities. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusutta Devi Pranamami Hare Pre Vancha Kalpatribhyascha Kripa Sindhibhi Evacha Patithanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are now living in the age of Kali. And this age is characterized by confusion, chaos, quarrelsome, hypocrisy, a civilization that promotes godlessness. So where is the living entity's chance of developing love for God? We're actually going against the grain. Just like shaving, you can get cut if you go against the grain. When the sages of Naimisharanya, when they were looking into the future, they were predicting the people of this age. And they said, Prainalpai saha sabhya kalau asmin yugejana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi apadrutaha. That in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So this world is described as an ocean of faults, an ocean of danger, an ocean of samsara, repeated birth and death. And this world is also compared to an ocean of misery. Srila Prabhupada, he would describe this world as an ocean of danger. And he said, you may have a very safe boat. And he described the Titanic. You know, the Titanic, there was one proud, I guess he was the, what do you call it? Captain of the ship. He said a famous line. He said, not even God can sink my ship. And on their first voyage, guess what happened? They sank. So those that want to defy or challenge God, guess who wins? Krishna. But in the Hare Krishna movement, or the Sankirtan movement, is compared to an ocean of transcendental bliss. So we can immerse ourselves in the ocean of miseries or in the ocean of transcendental bliss. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is described that everything that we do is either pushed or controlled by the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And there is actually a fight between these three, a competition for supremacy. Sometimes we feel like we're in the mode of goodness. Sometimes during the day we're in the mode of passion. And then at night we feel ourselves in the mode of ignorance. So charity, for example, it depends on, like it says here, Desha, Kala, and the Arha, the recipient, the time, place, and the person. But in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, there is no such, you can say, regulation. Krishna, one of his names, or his name actually means auspicious. Just by chanting his name, it creates auspiciousness. So Vaikuntha means without anxiety, and the material world means full of anxiety. There's a billion reasons why people are in anxiety right now. Can some of you mention some of those reasons why people may feel anxious? I'm sorry? Cost of living. That's a big one. Anything else? Birth, death, disease, and old age. How about you? No job. Okay. So sometimes people feel anxiety because of school-related. It's school-related. I need to find a job before my visa runs out. Will I be able to pass my finals? Is this a good school? How do I make new friends? And sometimes people are anxious because of when it's work-related. The demands of my work is taking a toll on me. I need to make more money to pay my rent and other expenses. Will I get laid off? Will I get a job after graduation? Anxiety caused by friendships. I thought this person was my friend, right? And also there's family relations that causes anxiety. My family doesn't understand me. They don't know what I'm going through. The loss of a loved one. And especially people are anxiety due to relationships. The person who we trusted the most turns out to be a jerk. And then there's divorce, separation, loneliness. And above all these is the mind. There's different miseries that are caused by other living entities. There's miseries caused by natural disturbances, caused by the demigods. And then there's disturbances caused by our own mind and body. So, yeah, we have very little chance of being very happy in this world. And Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Sada samudvigya diyam asat grahat. He says the living entities who have accepted this material world as a residence are full of anxiety. And that's the problem. Everyone's trying to make a comfortable living in this material world. But this material world is not where we belong, actually. The example is if you bring a fish onto land and you give this fish a big bank account, a nice car, a beautiful wife or husband, the fish cannot be happy because it belongs in the water. So similarly, the living entities here, we've now foolishly decided to come here and wanted to enjoy the material world. And I made an interesting observation the other day. When I was speaking to guests, sometimes you hear this from different people, different times. And they say, as soon as I leave here, I can feel the pressure or darkness right away. So they feel safe here. And that's how it's supposed to be. That guests and devotees, they should feel safe when they come here. They shouldn't feel like they're harassed or, they're outside the material world. So the Sankirtan movement, started by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is meant for creating Vaikuntha, the transcendental world that is without anxiety, even in this material world. In the science of self-realization, there's a conversation between a police officer. His name is Lieutenant Mosey and Srila Prabhupada. And this lieutenant, he asked Srila Prabhupada, I hear that you have some idea how to decrease the crime rate. And Srila Prabhupada, he gave a wonderful, simple answer. He said the reason why is because, well, first he said the difference between a pious person and a criminal is that one's heart is unclean, whereas the other one is clean. And then Srila Prabhupada, he says this dirt in the heart is like a disease in the form of uncontrollable lust and greed in the heart of the criminal. So today, people in general are in this disease condition, and thus crime is very widespread. Everyone wants more and more, and they're willing to do anything to get this. And then Srila Prabhupada, he says the simplest process of purification is to assemble in congregation and chant the holy name of God. This is called Sankirtan. And then Srila Prabhupada, he asked the lieutenant to please help us. Give us facility so we can do a mass congregation of chanting God's name. And then the lieutenant, he kept asking, questions, but Srila Prabhupada, he kept focusing on, we need to chant the holy name of God, chanting. This is a very famous, you can say, verse. So the Lord was speaking to Narada Muni, and the Lord says, Naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam redeshu va tatra tishtami narada yatra yanti mad bhakta. He says, my dear Narada, actually I do not reside in my abode Vaikuntha, nor do I reside within the hearts of the yogis, but I reside in that place where my pure devotees chant my holy name and discuss my form, pastimes, and qualities. So, when anyone who's chanting the holy name of Krishna becomes all auspicious. Srila Prabhupada would use this saying that the face is an index of the mind. And when I was at Mesa College the other day, students looked very depressed. They look very morose. They look very sad, actually. And there was this lingering feeling of, what is it called, like agitation or unsteadiness, And when you try to call them over, they say, I can't, I have my classes to go to. And I tell them, just give me 1 minute. What is 1 minute in 24 hours? But yet some of them, they don't have that time. They're so busy engaged in their school or studies. Srila Prabhupada, he says that when the mirror is covered by dust, we cannot perceive the person in the mirror. Therefore, there's this thing called an identity crisis. I think all of us at one point went through this. Who am I? So it's described that identity crisis is a period of uncertainty and confusion in which a person's sense of identity becomes insecure. And there are symptoms of this identity crisis. It includes confusion about yourself and your life's direction, feelings of anxiety and depression, difficulty making decisions, lack of motivation, and a sense of aimlessness or lack of purpose. People may also question their values, interests, beliefs, and they feel disconnected from others, and the struggle with low self-esteem. So there's also mental and emotional symptoms. And I think this is a very accurate description. Confusion and uncertainty, feeling lost or unclear about your life direction, career goals, or personal beliefs, anxiety and depression, experiencing persistent worry, sadness, or symptoms of depression, which can include changes in appetite, mood, and concentration, aimlessness, a sense of being disconnected from your true self or lacking purpose and ambition. And then you question values, doubting core beliefs, spirituality, or what is important in life. And then people seek out external validation, the over-reliance on others' opinions and approval to feel secure. When the sages saw this, they were very concerned. How will these people be delivered? You know, they're so absorbed in materialistic life. Not only that, but they don't know who they really are. I love this example of like a math equation. If the first step is wrong, whatever you do, your conclusion is also wrong. But yet people don't know who they are, but they're diving full force into this activity or this pursuit of career or whatever it may be. But they don't really know who they are. Srila Prabhupada says there needs to be a cleansing process. So if the mirror is covered by a thick layer of dust, the best process is described as chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we really chant this mantra, we really forget our surroundings. We forget all about our worries, our relationship problems. We forget the stress of work, everything. Srila Prabhupada, he says, people can hold meetings to glorify the Lord in their respective languages and with melodious songs. And if such performances are executed in a offenseless manner, it is certain that the participants will gradually attain spiritual perfection. So Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they created this wonderful Sankirtan movement. Whatever country you're at, you can chant the holy name of God. And you can glorify Krishna's form, pastimes, qualities. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he was talking about how a lot of religious leaders, they're trying to execute these sacrifices, but there's so many discrepancies. And so I wanted to narrate, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing through Varanasi on his way to Vrindavan, the Mayavadi sannyasis, or the impersonalists, they blasphemed him in many ways. And they said, although a sannyasi, he does not take interest in the study of Vedanta, but instead always engages in chanting and dancing in Sankirtan. This Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an illiterate sannyasi, and therefore does not know his real function. Guided only by his sentiments, he wanders about in the company of other sentimentalists. They were talking to Lord Chaitanya like this. And what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do? He just merely smiled to himself, rejected all these accusations, and he did not speak to the Mayavadis. So the next day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to the house of a brāhmaṇa, and he saw the sannyasis of Benares sitting there. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the sannyasis, he immediately offered obeisances. He was not envious. He didn't have hatred in his heart. And that's the etiquette. When you see a sannyasi, you should offer your obeisances. And then he washed his feet, and after washing his feet, he sat down by the place where he had done so. After sitting on the ground, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his mystic power by manifesting an effulgence as bright, as brilliant as the illumination of millions of suns. And so the Mayavadis, they're attracted to this effulgence, this Brahman realization. When the sannyasis saw the brilliant illumination of the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their minds were attracted, and they all immediately gave up their sitting places and stood in respect. And the leader of the Mayavadis, his name is Prakashananda, Saraswati. And after standing up, he addressed Lord Chaitanya as follows with great respect. You are a sannyasi. Why then do you indulge in chanting and dancing, engaging in your Sankirtan movement in the company of fanatics? This is what he's telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Meditation and the study of Vedanta are the sole duties of a sannyasi. Why do you abandon these to dance with fanatics? You look as brilliant as you were Narayan himself. Will you kindly explain the reason why you have adopted the behavior of lower class people? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to Prakashanandi Saraswati. He said, my dear sir, kindly hear the reason. My spiritual master considered me a fool, and therefore he chastised me. You are a fool, he said. You are not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must always chant the holy name of Krishna. This is the essence of all mantras or Vedic hymns. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's God himself, and his spiritual master told him, you're a fool. You cannot study Vedanta. You cannot. So he said, better just to chant the holy name. And this gives one perfection. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement can give the people in general the best opportunity to utilize their human form of life, even in the midst of material enjoyment. Krishna consciousness does not stop them in their propensity for material enjoyment, but simply regulates their habits in the life of sense enjoyment. So I just want to read some nice passages. Even if a person is born in a class of chandalas, chandalas are dog eaters, and it's considered to be the lowest birth in the human form of life. He is glorious if he chants the holy names of the Lord, for it is to be understood that by such chanting, a devotee definitely proves that he underwent all kinds of austerities in his previous life. So this is the rarity of someone who's chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay. So I'll just say one pastime. When they were building the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, it was like a whole ordeal. Getting the cement, getting the everything. They said in India it's like 10 times harder to get approval, to get the materials, this and that. So when they were constructing it, Srila Prabhupada, he knew that the smart brāhmaṇas, they would feel like if the devotees, the Western and European devotees, if they were to do the yajna, it would be, they were disqualified to do it. So Srila Prabhupada, he had brāhmaṇas born in India to do it. And then after it was all done, Srila Prabhupada said, actually chanting or Sankirtan is actually the real installment of the deities. And this is what he said. Sometimes we have to observe the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies to please such unintelligent men. Recently, when we established a large Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, we were obliged to have Vedic ceremonies enacted by brāhmaṇas because of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, especially the smart brāhmaṇas, would not accept European and Americans as bona fide brāhmaṇas. Thus, we had to engage brāhmaṇas to perform costly yajnas. In spite of these yajnas, the members of our society performed Sankirtan loudly with mridangas, and I consider the Sankirtan more important than the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. So, just by chanting the holy name of God, it's a very wonderful thing. It's a special thing. So we shouldn't feel like it's a burden to chant our 16 rounds. We shouldn't feel like it's a waste of time. We should feel like we have this opportunity to perform Sankirtan or chanting. And when I was thinking about this identity crisis, it made me think of this pastime, and I'll just mention it. Narada Muni had described a woman who is a professional prostitute. The Haryasvas understood the identity of this woman. Mixed with the mode of passion, the unsteady intelligence of every living entity is like a prostitute who changes dresses just to attract one's attention. If one fully engages in temporary fruitive activities, not understanding how this is taking place, what does he actually gain? So the devotees, we know who we really are. We are eternal servants of Krishna. And we are part and parcels of Krishna. So that's our real identity. We may change dresses, a brahmachari to a grahasta to sannyasi. Like Balaram Prabhu was saying, that's also external. And we should understand our real constitutional position, and we should act accordingly to that. And then we can be happy in this life as well as the next life. Okay, thank you for your time and attention. Do you have a question, Sureshwar? Balaram has something to say.
I do. Well, Hare Krishna, very nice lecture. So there was the quote in the purport about having good brain substance. But I was wondering what you thought. Can someone with poor brain substance, so someone that's not that intelligent, can they take to chanting the holy names?
Of course.
Yeah,
You can give him prasadam. You can. Balaram Prabhu is very expert at this. During chanting or harinam, he would engage people to dance with the devotees. He'll point at you, he'll point at another person, and they'll start dancing together. So even if one is not learned, like myself, we can engage in other activities in Krishna consciousness. Taking prasadam, hearing lectures, Srila Prabhupada says that in Kaliyuga, everyone is very dull-minded. But, yeah, the story of the illiterate person who is reading the Bhagavad Gita.
I was hoping you'd tell this one.
And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw him crying. And said, "Why are you crying?" And he says, my spiritual master instructed me to read Bhagavad Gita every day. But since I can't read, So he said, but by picturing the image of Krishna driving Arjuna's chariot, it gives me so much bliss, happiness, and how wonderful Krishna is, taking the role of a menial charioteer for his devotee. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he hugged him, he embraced him, he said, "You actually understood the purport of the Bhagavad Gita." Okay, Balaram Prabhu. There you go.
It's Govardhan's last class for a couple of weeks, right? Leaving Sunday?
Monday.
Oh, Monday. So
we're leaving for LA at 2:15 p.m.
Okay, so it's last class for a couple of weeks. So thank you, Govardhan. Yeah, about chanting, it's interesting at the time of initiation, when somebody accepts initiation, that in terms of vowing to do certain things, because we vow not to do certain things, that's there, the 4 pillars of sinful life, as somebody said the other day. But we just really vow to do one thing, just to chant Hare Krishna, chant Hare Krishna at least 16 rounds a day. So it's interesting how important it is. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that of all of the instructions of the spiritual master, because there's so many instructions, he said of all the instructions of the spiritual master, the instruction to chant at least 16 rounds a day is the most important. So, and why is that? Because from that everything comes. So anyways, because the purport was talking about chanting, we're talking about chanting, so I just wanted to throw that in. Just
Thank
a
you so much.
little addition.
Yeah, and before we chant our japa, we chant the 10 offenses. You know. Every day we chant these 10 offenses against the holy name. So chanting our rounds, quality is also very important. You know. Okay, anyone else have any corrections, chastisement? So for those that don't know, Sareshwar Prabhu, he has very nice shika, but what was missing was his tilak. Everybody, Dravida Prabhu him up. Yeah. And one last announcement, our Hannah here, today is also her last day with us, or for a few months. She's going to be traveling the world. Yeah. So I want to wish her a safe trip and come back. Okay, thank you so much. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.